Okay, let's start. But before that, we'll sing the standard song, standard, invocation mantra. Jayo Jayo Sri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda. Jayo Gaura Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Nitya Jaya Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitya Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitya. Okay, continuing Caitanya Caritamrta Adi Lila 138. So this is a certain tune in which we recite these shlokas. So first I recite and then you can repeat. Bhagavanera bhakta yata Shrivasa pradhana.
Bhagavanirabhaktayata Srivasa Pradhana
Tan sabara pada padma sahasra pranama.
Tan Sabara Pada Padme Sahasra Pranama.
So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, since the beginning, we are glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Again, Krishna's expansion in the form of Nityananda Prabhu. Then Gadadhar Pandit, which is Radharani's expansion. Then Shrivas Thakur, who is the primary Bhakta. Bhagavanera Bhakta Yata Shrivasa Pradhana. Means Pradhana means main, important. So this Bhagwan's Bhakta is Shrivas Thakur. So the translation is, there are innumerable devotees of the Lord, of whom Shrivas Thakur is the foremost. I offer my respectful obeisances thousands of times unto their lotus feet. So this we covered last time, but I just wanted to kind of rewind a little bit. Advaita Achara Prabhu Amsha Avatara.
Advaita Acharya Prabhu Amsa Avatara
Tandra Pada Padme Koti Pranati Amara.
Tanra Pada Padme Koti Pranati Amara.
So Advaita Acharya is the Lord's partial incarnation. And therefore I offer my obeisances millions of times to his lotus feet. Right? So Advaita Acharya is very important. Remember we talked about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar Pandit, and finally Shrivas Thakur. Shrivas Thakur is representative of us, Jiva Tattva. Basically, we are all being represented by Shrivas Thakur. Okay. Nityananda Raya Prabhura Swarupa Prakasha.
Nityananda Raya Prabhura Swarupa Prakasha
Tandra Pada Padma Vando Yanra Munidasa.
Tanra Pada Padmavando Yanra Muni Dasa.
So, Nityananda Raya. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's direct expansion, Swarupa Prakasha. Sri Nityananda Rama is the plenary manifestation of the Lord, and I have been initiated by him. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances at his lotus feet. So who is speaking this? I have been initiated by him.
Is Kabiraj Goswami.
Yes, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. So he is directly relating his experiences in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And he's so fortunate he got directly initiated by Nityananda Ram. Right? So he sits at the top of our parampara, almost at the top. Gadadhara Panditadi Prabhura Nija Shakti.
Gadadhara Panditadi Prabhura Nija Shakti.
Tansabara Charane Mora Sahasra Pranati.
Tansabara Charane Mora Sahasra Pranati.
So Prakasha, what was the term that was used? Prabha Vilasa for Nityananda Ram. But for Gadadhar Pandit, it said Nija Shakti, means internal energy, right? So Krishna's internal energy is Radharani. From Radharani, we have um, in the more goodness oriented expansions, we have um, Yoga Maya, we have Sita Devi, Lakshmis, all the Lakshmis come there. But from his other part, external energy comes Mahamaya, Durga, Kali, some of those who are very dangerous to look at. So everything has to come from Radharani. All the feminine expansions come, and all the masculine expansions come from Krishna himself, from the Swarupa, right, from his Vishnu Tattva. We are Jiva Tattva. So although we come from Krishna, we don't come directly, we come indirectly. So Tan Sabara Charana Mora Sahasra Pranati means thousands of obeisances. I offer my respectful obeisance unto the internal potencies of the Lord, of whom Sri Gadadhar Prabhu is the foremost. Right? So there are many internal expansions. Gadadhar Prabhu is the foremost. So although it is Radharani's internal energy, Krishna's internal energy in form of Radharani, when the avatar happens here, comes in the masculine form, which is Gadadhar Pandit. He is in the male body. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Swayam Bhagavan.
Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Swayam Bhagavan.
Tanara Padara Vinde Ananta Pranam.
Tanara Padara Vinde Ananta Pranama.
So Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the personality of Godhead. He is the original person. And therefore I offer innumerable prostrations. So previously he said Koti Pranama, Sahasra Pranama. But here he's saying innumerable, means cannot even count. That many prostrations I am giving to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Savarane Prabhure Kariya Namaskar.
Savarane Prabhure Kariya Namaskare.
Echaya Teno Yache Kariya Vichar.
Echaya Teniyo Yacha Kariya Vichara.
So, having offered obeisance unto the Lord and all his associates, I shall now try to explain the six diversities in one. Okay. So, Manoranjan, you want to read this?
Yes, Prabhu. Purport. There are many honored devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all of whom are considered associates surrounding the Lord. Krishna should be worshipped with his devotees. The diverse principles are therefore the eternal paraphernalia through which the absolute truth can be approached.
Yeah, thank you. So, during Srila Prabhupada's time, some of the disciples went and drew Krishna alone. Krishna said, and Srila Prabhupada said, is Krishna alone? How can that be possible? So then they drew Radharani. Then he said, but where are the devotees? Draw the devotees also. So and then the artist went back and added, a lot of devotees. So whenever you see a picture of Krishna or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you should see a lot of devotees around them. They are never alone. They have a lot of bhaktas, whether it is Nija Shakti, like internal energy bhaktas, or Bahya Shakti, external energy bhaktas like us. Right? We are definitely external. We are marginal actually. We are neither internal nor external, but definitely, when you see a picture of Krishna, you should see his internal potencies as well as marginal potencies, the devotees like us. Yadyapi Amara Guru Chaitanya Radasam
यद्यपि हमारा गुरु चैतन्य दासा
Tatapi Janiye Amita Nara Prakasha.
तथापि जानीये अमित नर प्रकाश.
Although I know that my spiritual master is a servitor of Sri Chaitanya, I know him also as a plenary manifestation of the Lord. So his spiritual master Nityananda Rama is a servant of Sri Chaitanya, but also he is his plenary internal manifestation. So first Krishna comes as Nityananda Rama, and then Nityananda Rama becomes the guru for everyone. So he guides us in the path of Krishna. So Sarvana, can you read this?
Yes, Prabhu. Every living entity is essentially a servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the spiritual master is also his servant. Still, the spiritual master is a direct manifestation of the Lord. With this conviction, a disciple can advance in Krishna consciousness. The spiritual master is non different from Krishna because he is a manifestation of Krishna. Lord Nityananda, who is Balarama himself, the first direct manifestation or expansion of Krishna, is the original spiritual master. He helps Lord Krishna in his pastimes, and he is a servant of the Lord. Every living entity is eternally a servant of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Therefore, the spiritual master cannot be other than a servant of Lord Chaitanya. The spiritual master's eternal occupation is to expand the service of the Lord by training disciples in a service attitude. A spiritual master never poses as the Supreme Lord himself. He is considered a representative of the Lord. The revealed scriptures prohibit one's pretending to be God, but a bona fide spiritual master is a most faithful and confidential servant of the Lord and therefore deserves as much respect as Krishna.
Yeah. So spiritual master should never claim he is God, but he should engage his disciples like the ISKCON gurus are doing. They are engaging the disciples in the service of the Lord to expand the service of the Lord, right? To expand the service of the Lord. So it's not like it should be constant, it should be ever expanding, right? So in the spiritual world, there is Navanava Rasa, means every moment there is a new feeling of service to Krishna. So that should continue. Guru Krishna Rupahana Shastrena Pramana.
Guru Krishna Rupahana Sastrena Paramana.
Guru Rupe Krishna Kripa Karena Bhaktagana.
Guru Rupe Krishna Krupa Karena Bhaktagana.
According to the deliberate opinion of the revealed scriptures. You see this word, keyword deliberate opinion. Means the opinion is pretty strong, it is deliberate, it is not flexible. The spiritual master is non different from Krishna. So in the Mangalarti prayers, we sing Sakshat Dharittvena Samasta Shastrayuktastata Bhavyata Eva Sadbhi Kintu Prabhurya Priyaheva Tasya Vande Guru Sri Charanaravindam. Right? He is non-different from Krishna. So we should take shelter of him, the spiritual master. Lord Krishna in the form of spiritual master delivers his devotees. So Krishna has done distributed processing. He has given his powers to the Guru, to the spiritual master who is training us, so that the Guru can deliver the disciples, devotees. Krishna doesn't do anything directly. I mean, he is too busy. He is in his Rasa Leela, he is in his natural inner mellows he's enjoying. So he has delegated that responsibility to deliver the devotees to the spiritual master. That's why Guru is very important. So this relationship is as good as his relationship with Supreme Lord. That is a very key point. So if we have bad relationship with our spiritual master, then we don't have a relationship with God, Krishna. So the spiritual master always represent himself as humble servitor of the personality of Godhead. The spiritual master should think of Lord as the master, and he is a humble servitor. Servitor means servant. But the disciple, we should look upon the spiritual master as representation of Godhead. Right? Sakshat dharitvena samasta shastra. Acharyam mam vijaniyan
Acharyam mam vijaniyan
navamanyeta karhichit
navamanyeta karhichet
namartya buddhya suyeta
namatya buddhya suyetha
sarvadevamayo guruhu.
sarvadeva mayo guruhu.
One should always know the Acharya as myself and never disrespect him in any way. One should not envy him, thinking him as an ordinary man, for he is the representative of all the demigods. Right? What does it say? Sarva Deva Mayo Guruhu. So, my Guru is the representative of Sarva Deva, all Devatas. Right? Okay, Manoranjan, can you please read?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. So my kid will read, so he's interested for that.
Yeah, let him read.
From here. This is the verse.
This is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 11.17.27, spoken by Lord Krishna when he was questioned by Uddhava regarding to the four social and spiritual orders of society. The Lord was specifically instructing how a brahmachari should behave under the care of his spiritual master. Spiritual master is not an enjoyer or facilities offered by his disciples. He is like a parent. Without the attentive service of his parents, a child cannot grow to manhood. Similarly, without the care of the spiritual master, one cannot realize the plane of transcendental service.
Then below on.
The spiritual master is also called Acharya or transcendental professor of spiritual science. The Manu Samhita
2.140.
2.140 explains the duties of an acharya, describing that a bona fide spiritual master accepts charge of disciples, teaches them the Vedic knowledge with all its intricacies, and gives them their second birth. The ceremony performed to initiate a disciple, and the study of spiritual science is called upaniti, or the function that brings one nearer to the spiritual master. One who cannot be brought nearer to his spiritual master cannot have a sacred thread, and thus he is indicated to be a Sudra. The sacred thread on the body of a Brahmana, Kshatriya or Vaishya, is a symbol of initiation by the spiritual master. It is worth nothing in one.
If one nearly
If one merely to the spiritual master is to initiate a disciple with the sacred thread ceremony, and after this samskara or purificative process, the spiritual master actually begins to teach the disciple about the Vedas. A person born a Sudra is not barred from such spiritual initiation, provided he is approved by the spiritual master, who is duly authorized to avoid a disciple to the right to be a Brahmana, and if he finds him perfectly qualified in the Vayu Purana, an Acharya is defined as one who knows the import of all the Vedic literatures, abides by their rules and regulations, and teaches his disciples to act in the same way.
Only out of its immense compassion does the personality of Godhead reveal himself as the spiritual master. There is the dealings of an acharya. There are no activities but those of transcendental loving service to the Lord. He is the supreme personality of Servitor Godhead. It is worthwhile to take shelter of such steady devotee who is called Asraya Vigraha, or the manifestation or form of the Lord, of whom one must take shelter. If one poses himself as an acharya, but does not have an attitude of servitorship of the Lord, he must be considered an offender. And this offensive attitude disqualifies him from being an acharya. The bona fide spiritual master always engages in unalloyed devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By this test, he is known to be direct manifestation of the Lord and a genuine representative of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Such a spiritual master is known as Acharya Dev, influenced by an envious temperament and dissatisfied because of an attitude of sense gratification. Mundaners criticize a real Acharya. In fact, however, a bona fide Acharya is not different from the personality of Godhead. And therefore, to envy such an Acharya, it is to envy the personality of God himself. This will produce an effect, this will produce an effect subversive of transcendental realization. As mentioned previously, a disciple should always respect the spiritual master as a manifestation of Sri Krishna. But at the same time, one should always remember that a spiritual master is never authorized to imitate the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. False spiritual masters pose themselves as the identical with Sri Krishna in every respect to exploit the sentiments of their disciples. But such impersonalists can only mislead their disciples, for their ultimate aim is to become one with the Lord. This is against the principles of devotional cult. The real Vedic philosophy is achintya. The real Vedic philosophy is achintya Veda Tattva, which establishes everything to be simultaneously one with and different from the personality of Godhead. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami confirms that this is the real position of a bona fide spiritual master, and says that one should always think of the spiritual master in terms of his intimate relationship with Mukunda, Sri Krishna. Srila Jiva Goswami in his Bhakti Sandarbha 213 has clearly mentioned that a pure devotee's observation of spiritual master and Lord Shiva as being one with the personality of Godhead exists in terms of their being very dear to the Lord, not identical with him in all respect, following in the footsteps of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami and Srila Jiva Goswami, later acharyas like Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur have confirmed the same truth. In his prayers to the spiritual master, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur confirms that all the revealed scripture accept the spiritual master to be identical with the personality of Godhead because he is very dear and confidential servant of the Lord. Gaudiya Vaishnavas therefore worship Srila Gurudev, the spiritual master, in the light of his being the servitor of the personality of Godhead. In all the ancient literatures of devotional service and in the more recent songs of Srila Narottam Das Thakur, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, and other unalloyed Vaishnavas, the spiritual master is always considered either one of the confidential associates of Srimati Radharani or a manifested representation of Srila Nityananda Prabhu.
Yeah, so Guru can be considered as an associate of Srimati Radharani or a representation of the original Guru, Nityananda Prabhu. Right? So a lot of important points are made in this very long purport. So let's touch upon them one by one. Spiritual master is not an enjoyer of the facilities offered by his disciples. It's not like, oh, they'll give me dakshina, so I'll be happy. No, he's like a parent. Without the attentive service of a parent, child cannot grow to manhood. Right? He's called a transcendental professor, Acharya, right? Spiritual master. And the duty of Acharya is to give the Vedic knowledge with all of the intricacies and give them second initiation, second birth called Dvija, right? And if somebody cannot be given the sacred thread, he is indicated to be a Shudra. So according to Shastra, it says, Janmana Jayate Shudra. When we are born, everybody is a Shudra. Samskara Bhavet Dvija. Dvija means twice born. That's based on the samskara, right? That's also called Upaniti, and what is given is called Upanayanam. And this is the samskara. So samskara bhave dvija, second step. First step is Shudra, everybody born as Shudra. Second is samskara bhave dvija. Third is Veda patat bhave vipra. So once the spiritual master teaches disciple the Vedas, at that point the person becomes Vipra. So even if we are born in a Shudra category, doesn't matter. We can also get spiritual initiation, right? And everybody has the right to become a Brahmana. So just like Equal Opportunity Act, everybody has the right to be a Brahmana if you follow the rules. So Acharya means who knows the import of all the Vedic literatures, right? Sakshat dharitvena samasta shastrair. Samasta means everything, shastrair, all the shastras. He is Sakshad, means he is the representation. He is the, personification of all the shastras. So he knows them end to end like that. And he abides by their rules and regulations and teaches the disciples to act in the same way. So only out of immense compassion, personality of Godhead revealed himself as the spiritual master. So if we are able to see spiritual master like Swami Prabhupada or his disciples, we are very fortunate because out of the 8 billion people, only a few, hundreds of thousands of people have this access. Most of the people don't have access, right? So even the class we are doing, only 3 people are there, right? So it's not available to all. It's available. It's a kind of a confidential knowledge. Only some people will know this. So worthwhile to take shelter, Sharan, of such a steady devotee who is Ashraya Vigraha. Ashraya means shelter. Vigraha means form. He is a form of shelter. So the whole Bhagavad Gita is how to take shelter, right? Prapannam or Sarva Dharman Parityajya, give up everything. Mamekam Sharanam Vraja means take shelter of the Lord. But Acharya needs to have attitude of servitorship as a servant, right? So we need to learn these things because at some point we might all become acharyas, right? If we practice properly. So we have to learn how to be a servant of the Lord, how to be a servant of the Lord's servants, right? For other devotees, we should be very, very polite and gentle and humble in front of other devotees. So again, the point is mentioned, representative of Nityananda Prabhu, right? Acharya is non-different from personality of Godhead. So one has to realize that. It's not like your Acharya is God himself. No. He's non-different in that he is giving you knowledge to go back to the personality of Godhead. So false spiritual masters, Prabhupada talks, pose themselves identical with Krishna. They say, okay, now you pay to me, give me all your money, and I am Krishna, so I will also do Rasa Leela. So this has happened in Bengal and Orissa. Some of the gurus, they try to pretend like Krishna. So just like Krishna dances with gopis, they will get some women in their neighborhood and they'll start dancing with them. So that's all nonsense, right? Why? To exploit the sentiments. But that is nonsense. Actually, we should leave such a guru who is not following the scriptural rules. And our main philosophy is called Achintya Beda Beda Tattva. Achinta means inconceivable, Bheda Abheda, simultaneously one and different from the Lord. So we are all in qualitatively similar to the Lord. We are 64% of the Lord, percentage wise. We have the same, emotions that the Lord has. Lord has the same emotions we have, to the most part. But simultaneously, we are different because we can never become the Lord. We are always servant of the Lord. So that is our main thing. Very few people can understand this. It becomes too complex for most people. So then he says, following in the footsteps of Raghunath Das Goswami, Srila Jiva Goswami, and later Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the same truth. And then we should also learn the same truth and pass on the same truth. Otherwise, if you take sugar and then swap it with salt, the next person in the line will not get the same taste, right? We are getting sugar, so we should pass on sugar. We should not pass on salt. So we are called Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Why? We are Vaishnavas, followers of Vishnu, and we are Gaudiya Vaishnavas because we are followers of these gentlemen here. Raghunath Dasa Goswami, Jiva Goswami, and Acharyas like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has written beautiful books. Like Rompa Swami Maharaj, he's a fan of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He will give commentaries on their, on his writings. I've heard some of them on YouTube. He used to come here regularly many years ago in Seattle, but not anymore. But nowadays, the good news is everybody is accessible through a click on YouTube. Even this class I'm going to upload on YouTube. Even if one person hears, that's good, right? You never know. So these literature of devotional service and most recently songs of Narottam Das Thakur, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, like most of the songs we send in temple, kirtans are Narottam Das Thakur and Bhakti Vinod Thakur bhajans, right? Just like, Manas Deho Geho Jo Kichu Mor Arpilu Tuva Pade Nanda Kishore. Mind, body, and all the possessions that I have. Arpilu means I am going to offer it to you, Nanda Kishore. Right? Everything belongs to you, Krishna. So all those songs come from these acharyas. Right? Bhajahure mana Shri Nanda Nandana Abhaya Charanara Vindare Durlabha Manava Janama Satsange. So without the satsang, Manav Janma is durlabh, means it's wasted. Although it is rare, it is wasted. Tarahu ye bhava sindhure Sita atapa batabari sana Edina jamini jagire Vifala sevino kripana durjana. So we are all serving people who are kripanas, means who are misers. Misers with their money, misers with their devotion. Vifala sevino kripana durjana. We are all serving this society right now, which are all misers. They're all non-devotees. Chapala sukhala bhala gire. Only for little pleasure. Maybe I'll get a salary, I'll buy a car with that. So for that, we are serving the general mass of population. So a lot of good meaning is there in these Acharya songs, Narottam Das Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Right? If you go to kksongs.org, you'll get all of their songs. शिक्षा गुरु केता जानी कृष्णेरा स्वरूप
क्षीरस्वरूपा
अंतर्यामी भक्त श्रेष्ठ ए रूपा
Antaryami Bhakta
Antaryami
Sesta Ei Rupa.
Rupa.
So he's saying one should know the instructing spiritual master to be personality of Godhead also, not only initiating. Initiating spiritual master gives you Dvija, means the sacred thread, so that you can become a Dvija to perform sacrifices. First initiation is Harinama Diksha. He'll give you the holy name. But then, after many, many years of practice, you get the second Dvija. Lord Krishna manifests himself as the super soul and as the greatest devotee of the Lord. Right? So he manifests as the super soul. He's sitting in you and me right now, giving instructions from inside. And externally, he's manifesting as the Acharya, who is the greatest devotee of the Lord. We are also devotees, but we are lightweight devotees. So the point is to be the greatest devotee of the Lord. Okay, Sarvana, please read.
Srila Krishnadasa Kaviraja Goswami states that the instructing spiritual master is a bona fide representative of Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna himself teaches us as the instructing spiritual master from within and without. From within, he teaches as Paramatma, our constant companion, and from without, he teaches from the Bhagavad Gita as the instructing spiritual master. There are two kinds of instructing spiritual masters. One is the liberated person, fully absorbed in meditation, in devotional service, and the other is he who invokes the disciples' spiritual consciousness by means of relevant instructions. Thus, the instructions in the science of devotion are differentiated in terms of the objective and subjective ways of understanding. The Acharya, in the true sense of the term, who is authorized to deliver Krishna, enriches the disciple with full spiritual knowledge and thus awakens him to the activities of devotional service. When by learning from the self realized spiritual master, one actually engages himself in the service of Lord Vishnu, functional devotional service begins. The procedures of this devotional service are known as abhideya, or actions one is duty bound to perform. Our only shelter is the Supreme Lord, and one who teaches how to approach Krishna is the functioning form, the personality of Godhead. There is no difference between the shelter giving Supreme Lord and the initiating and instructing spiritual masters. If one foolishly discriminates between them, he commits an offense in the discharge of devotional service. Srila Sanatana Goswami is the ideal spiritual master, for he delivers one the shelter of the lotus feet of Madana Mohana. Even though one may be unable to travel on the field of Vrindavana due to forgetfulness of his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he can get an adequate opportunity to stay in Vrindavana and derive all spiritual benefits by the mercy of Sanatana Goswami. Sri Govindaji acts exactly like the Siksha Guru, instructing spiritual master by teaching Arjuna the Bhagavad Gita. He is the original preceptor, for he gives us instructions and an opportunity to serve him. The initiating spiritual master is a personal manifestation of Srila Madana Mohana Vigraha, whereas the instructing spiritual master is a personal representative of Srila Govinda Deva Vigraha. Both of these deities are worshipped at Vrindavana. Srila Gopinatha is the ultimate attraction in spiritual realization.
So this is a very important point, right? So Srila Prabhupada is giving the commentary of how these various deities function as our gurus, right? Ultimately, Krishna is the Chaitya Guru. He is the original Adi Guru, right? That you cannot escape. But his first expansion is in Nityananda Prabhu's form. And then all the spiritual master come in the Nityananda Prabhu's, as disciples, if they follow it properly. If you don't follow it, then you are pretty much on your own. You are not a part of the parampara anymore. So Govindji acts like Shiksha Guru, instructing, right? So he's the original preceptor and opportunity to serve him. Initiating spiritual master is Madan Mohana Vigraha. Instructing spiritual master is Govinda Deva, right? So I remember one time one senior Prabhu came from Vrindavan and he was remembering these three. He was saying, Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe. Then Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe. Then Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe. Like that. So Govindji and Govind Deva. Apparently there are two separate, although it's all one, Krishna is one, there are different names given. And then some people also add Gopinatha, right? Why? Because he is the ultimate in these things. So, Jayo Radha Gopinath, Radha Gopinath Radhe. So, we have these four different Govindaji, Madan Mohan, Govinda Deva, and Gopinath. There's a song also in the kksongs.org. Gopinath, Sakala Tumare Hai. Again, you can hear these songs in YouTube. A lot of acharyas, ISKCON acharyas have sung these things. So, any thoughts, questions on this one? This is a pretty long purport. So, this is also one more good point here, right? Even though one may be unable to travel on the field of Vrindavana due to the forgetfulness of his relationship with Supreme Personality, he can get an adequate opportunity to stay in Vrindavana and derive spiritual benefits by the mercy of Sanatan Goswami. So, if we, for some reason, due to corona or due to family reasons or due to financial reasons, if you are unable to travel to the field of Vrindavan, right, we can still derive all the benefits by the mercy of Sanatan Goswami. So he's the elder brother of Rupa Goswami, right? Most of our commentary comes from Rupa Goswami. We are all called Rupa Anugas. Anuga means followers of Rupa Goswami in this line of worshipping Krishna. Govindji, Madan Mohanji, Govinda Deva, and Gopinath. When by learning from a self-realized spiritual master, one actually engage himself in the service of Lord Vishnu. And functional devotional service begins, right? In IT, we write functional specs, technical specs, then we code, test, and launch, right? So functional devotion means what is functional spec have? All the key details, right? Grab this from this table. This is how the functionality should be. This is what should be shown in the user interface, right? So functionally devotion begins only when we learn from the spiritual master. So you should all get initiated. Otherwise, you are not really learning, right? I mean, you're learning something from me, but you should still get initiated so that you can be engaged, because spiritual master engages you in a certain way based on your propensity, on your characteristics. Otherwise, you will think that I'm doing everything good. I'm a decent devotee. Yeah, you're a decent devotee, but you are not a good devotee, great devotee, right? So spiritual master will mold you, just like you take clay and put it on a round spinning wheel, and a nice pot or a flower vase or something will come out. Why? Because the wheel is turning and the potter is using his fingers to mold the clay. Similarly, the combination of Shiksha Guru and Diksha Guru will mold you in a particular way. Okay, so very, very good purport. Lots of good points. Of course, these points are not just for jnana, right? We are not theoreticians just learning. We have to practice in our life. Otherwise, what's the point? I can give you a certificate. Yes, you are Bhakti Shastri. But what are you going to do with the paper? Real Bhakti comes from within. So you have to practice it, not just, attending class is good, but ultimately practicing is important. Naivopayanti apachityam kavayasthavesha
नैवोपयन्ति अपचित्तं कवैस्ततवेसा
ब्रह्मायुषापि कृतं रिद्धमुदा स्मरन्तः
ब्रह्म्यायुषापि कृतं हृदा मुधा स्मरन्तः
यो अन्तर्बहिस्तनुमृतामशुभिं विदुवन्
योऽन्तर्बहिस्तनुभृहम् असुम्बं
विदुवन्
विदुन्वम्
आचार्य चैत्यवपुष स्वगतिं व्यनक्ति.
आचार्य चैत्यवपुषः स्वगतिं व्यानक्ति.
There are different ways to sing this. There are different meters. Chandas and meters. There are two things in music. So you can sing it in other meters also, just like Brahma Samhita. Naivo payanti apachittam kavastavesa, like that. So there are various ways. It's okay to, experiment also. Ultimately, you are chanting Lord's, glorification. So you'll get the benefit either way. Like in China, if you say Hare Krishna, they'll say Krishna. So they'll chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Lam, Lam, Hare Hare. There's no Ra in Chinese language. There's no Ra. So it becomes Hare Krishna. But Krishna knows, right? Krishna knows what your intention is. So he'll give you the benefit. Transcendental poets and experts in the spiritual science could not fully express their indebtedness to you, even if they were endowed with prolonged lifetime of Brahma. So even if you have Brahma's lifetime, you cannot glorify the Lord. Not sufficient. For you appear in two features, externally as Acharya and internally as Super Soul, right? So these are the two key points that we have to remember. So the Lord shows up externally as Acharya and internally as Super Soul. So if you don't do devotion, you'll become like this. Okay? So it's better to chant Hare Krishna and not do weird dances. So in Srimad Bhagavatam again. So one of the things about Shastra is each Shastra quotes the other Shastra. Just like each professor quotes the other professor's research paper. Like if you see a research paper, there'll be at least 20, 25 references, bibliography in the end. Why? Because if they say that I invented everything, people will laugh at him. So he has to quote other professors who have supported him, who came before him in research, and they have done some progress, right? They have presented some information. So the current Acharya or the professor in the material sense has to quote the previous Acharyas or previous professors, like that. So it was spoken by Sri Uddhava in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's called Uddhava Gita. Bhagavad Gita shows up in many places. One, when Hiranyaksha dies, Hiranyakashipu also reiterates the signs of the soul, right? And Kapila Muni gives this information in 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Uddhava gives in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. No matter who it is, ultimately the knowledge is the same. You are not the body, you are the soul. And you have to get out of this cycle of birth and death by taking shelter of Krishna. Tesham satata yuktanam
तेषं सततयुक्तानां
bhajatam priti purvakam
भजतां प्रीतिपूर्वकं
dadami
पूर्वकं
buddhi yogam tam
ददामि बुद्धियोगं तं
yena mamupayanti te.
येन माम् उपयान्ति ते.
Anybody recognize this shloka? It also comes in Bhagavad Gita. Where does it come?
Yeah, it's one of the
Yes,
Chatur.
Prabhu. Right, Prabhu.
Huh? Where, Manoranjan?
One of the Chatur
Prabhu said Prabhu said
Yeah.
rightly. He said part of Chatur Shloka. Yes, the most important
Yes.
verse in the
Yeah, it is called the Chatur Shloka Bhagavad Gita. There are only 4 important shlokas of Bhagavad Gita. They are in like 10.9, 10, 11, and 12. But if somebody gives the direct information like this, we won't understand, right? So the Lord built everything around, like a superstructure around these 4 Chatur Shlokas, right? So that we can understand. Technically, just by knowing this sloka, you can go back to God, right? But why don't we go? Because it's difficult for us to understand, right? Those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I, that is Krishna, gives understanding by which they can come to Krishna. That's it. Constantly devoted. Key points are constantly devoted. We are devoted, but we are rarely devoted. We should be constantly devoted. If you are constantly devoted, then guaranteed. Krishna himself is saying, I give them the understanding. Right? After that, what shloka comes? Jnana Deepena Bhasvata. I give them the shining lamp of knowledge, Krishna says. Tesham evanukampartam aham jnanam japtana tama. And then there's some other line, and then last line is Jnana Deepena Bhasvata. Means I give the knowledge by which they can come to me. Right? Ultimately, we have to go by our own endeavor, but he will give the starting, he'll give the jump start, he'll give the understanding by which we can go. Otherwise, we'll go in the wrong direction, right? Just like some of these false gurus Prabhupada was mentioning 2 or 3 verses ago, right? They will imitate Krishna. They'll dance with girls and say, oh, Krishna is dancing with gopis, I'm also dancing with girls. Your dancing is different than his dancing. If you dance with girls, you'll go to hell. He dances with gopis, and that gives pleasure to the entire universe. There is a lot of difference, right? So don't think that the disco dancing that happens Friday night in bars, that is the same as, Krishna's dance. Okay, Shiva, read. Or maybe your son can read.
He's downstairs, Prabhu.
Okay, yeah, you read.
I'll read, Prabhu, for him. This verse of the Bhagavad Gita clearly states how Govinda Deva instructs his bona fide devotee. The Lord declares that by enlightenment in theistic knowledge, he awards attachment for him to those who constantly engage in his loving service. This awakening of divine consciousness enthralls a devotee who thus relishes his eternal transcendental mellow. Such an awakening is awarded only to those convinced by devotional service about the transcendental nature of the personality of Godhead. They know that the supreme truth, the all spiritual and all powerful person, is one without a second and has fully transcendental senses. He is the fountainhead of all emanations. Such pure devotees, always merged in knowledge of Krishna and absorbed in Krishna consciousness, exchange thoughts and realizations as great scientists exchange their views and discuss the results of their research in scientific academies. Such exchanges of thoughts in regard to Krishna give pleasure to the Lord, who therefore favors such devotees with all enlightenment.
So, what are we doing right now? What are we doing in this class right now? Exchanging thoughts of Krishna. And why are we exchanging thoughts of Krishna?
To please him.
To give pleasure to the Lord. Let's use the exact terms that Prabhupada is using, right? Such exchange of thoughts in regard to Krishna give pleasure. Yes, it's pleasing, and pleasing is one part participle of pleasure, but the exact term is it gives pleasure to the Lord. Why are we doing this? To give pleasure to the Lord. We are not getting any money by doing this, right? But we are getting pleasure to the Lord, giving pleasure to the Lord, rather. And when we give pleasure to the Lord, we get pleasure. How? Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uttama means he is the master of senses, our senses. He's the boss of our senses. So when we give him pleasure, we get pleasure. And then why? He favors devotees with all enlightenment. Tesham evanu kampartam. Right? Let's go and see that verse. So he gives that enlightenment, right? When we discuss about him, when we discuss about Sachin Tendulkar or Virat Kohli, you won't get any pleasure. You'll get a headache at the end of the day, right? But when you discuss about Krishna, you get great pleasure, right? This is the one that we just read, right? He gives the understanding. The next one is more important. To show them special mercy, I means Krishna, dwelling in their hearts means our hearts, destroy with shining lamp of knowledge. What is he destroying? The darkness born of ignorance. Right? So everything is the same. I mean, it's not like scriptures teach different things. They all ultimately teach this. Tesham evanukam partam aham ajnanajam tamaha nashyami atma bhavasto jnana deepena bhashvata. So this deepa is there. Like during Diwali, we light lamps. But this is not that kind of lamp. This is jnana deepena. He's giving us knowledge in our heart, right? So this Jnana Deepa is more important than the physical Deepa because it will destroy our ignorance, not just darkness in the room, but it will destroy our ignorance. That's what he's saying. And he favors such devotees with all enlightenment. So you don't have to do anything. Just please the Lord, magical things will automatically happen. Right? And how to please the Lord is there in Bhagavad Gita. Right? What is Bhagavad Gita? It is the song that he's singing. He's saying, this is how you please the Lord. And then you can also distribute books to others. So there is Gita Mahayajna happening on December 25th. So people call it Christmas, but it is more important than Christmas because in Kurukshetra there is a major yajna going on that day. Kurukshetra is in Haryana, near modern day Delhi. Yata Brahmane Bhagavan
यथा ब्रह्मणे भगवान्
Swayam Upadisyanubhavitavan.
स्वयं उपाधिस्त्यानुभावान्.
No, it's not Bhavan. Bhavitavan. So you are getting that? Feeling,
भावितावान्.
right? Anubhavita. Anubhavita means you are perceiving something. Like in Telugu, they say Anubhavinchatam. Ante enti, you are perceiving something. So Anubhavitavan means it's a perception, causing to perceive. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Swayam Bhagavan, taught Brahma and made him self-realized. And when Brahma became self-realized, what did he do? What did he do?
He started the creation process.
He started the creation process, the Brahma Samhita. He recited, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Okay, so Manoranjan, please read.
Hare Krishna. The English maxim that God helps those who help themselves is also applicable in the transcendental realm. There are many instances in the revealed scriptures of the personality of Godhead acting as the spiritual master from within. The personality of Godhead was the spiritual master who instructed Brahma, the original living being in the cosmic creation. When Brahma was first created, he could not apply his creative energy to arrange the cosmic situation. At first, there was only sound vibrating the word tapa, which indicates the acceptance of hardships of spiritual realizations. Refraining from sensual enjoyment, one should voluntarily accept all sorts of difficulties for spiritual realization. This is called tapasya. An angel of the saints can never realize God. Godliness or the science of theistic knowledge was when Brahma, initiated by Sri Krishna by the sound vibration tapa, engaged himself in act of austerity by the pleasure of Vishnu. He was able to visualize the transcendental word Sri Vaikuntha. So transcendental realization, modern science can communicate using the material discoveries such as radio, television, and computers. But the science invoked by the austerities of Sri Brahma, the original father of mankind, was still more subtle. In time, material scientists may also know how we can communicate with the Vaikuntha world. Lord Brahma inquired about the potency of the Supreme Lord and the personality of Godhead, answered his inquiry in the following 6 consecutive statements. These instructions, which are reproduced from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, verse 31 to 36, were imparted by the personality of Godhead, acting as the Supreme Spiritual Master.
Yeah. So ultimately, Krishna is the supreme spiritual master, right? So we have to refrain from sensual enjoyment. Right now, we do too much enjoyment. Voluntarily accept all sorts of difficulties. Whenever we get a difficulty, we start cursing God. So when we do this, that is called tapasya. And these instructions, right, are reproduced from Srimad Bhagavatam, imparted by the personality of Godhead, who is acting as the supreme spiritual master. And then comes second level instructing spiritual master, or even initiating and instructing, that is Nityananda Rama. Nityananda Rama is same as Balarama, so it doesn't matter whether you call Balarama or Nityananda Rama. And then to people like Krishna Dasa, Kaviraja, Goswami, and then to the Parampara, and to us, right? So we have to be very thankful because they are carefully taking care of this knowledge and giving it to us. Jnanam paramaguhyam me
ज्ञानं परमगुह्यं मे
yadvijnana samanvitam
समान्वितं
sarahasyam tadangam cha
सारस्यं तदनङ्गंश्च
grihana gaditam maya.
गृहाणागदितं मया.
So please hear attentively what I shall speak to you, for transcendental knowledge about me is not only scientific but full of mysteries. Where is this verse from? Where is this verse from?
Bhagavatam.
Yeah, definitely it has to be from either Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam. They get reinforced in Caitanya Caritamrta. So Caitanya Caritamrta is the postgraduate study.
It was there in the previous verse, Prabhu. So it's reproduced from Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah. Okay. So Sarvana, please read.
Transcendental knowledge of Sri Krishna is deeper than the impersonal knowledge of Brahman, for it includes knowledge of not only his form and personality, but also everything else related to him. There is nothing in existence not related to Sri Krishna. In a sense, there is nothing but Sri Krishna, and yet nothing is Sri Krishna save and except his primeval personality. This knowledge constitutes a complete transcendental science, and Vishnu wanted to give Brahmaji full knowledge about that science. The mystery of this knowledge culminates in personal attachment to the Lord with a resulting effect of detachment from anything non Krishna. There are 9 alternative transcendental means of attaining this stage: hearing, chanting, remembering, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, worshipping, praying, assisting, fraternizing with the Lord, and sacrificing everything for Him. These are different parts of the same devotional service, which is full of transcendental mystery. The Lord said to Brahma that since he was pleased with him, by his grace the mystery was being revealed.
So here are the points, right? This is the 9 points given by Prahlad Maharaj to his demoniac friends. He said, Shravanam Kirtanam Smaranam Vandanam Archanam. No, actually, it was a Sevanam, Vandanam, Archanam, uh, and then assisting, fraternizing, Sakyam, sacrificing everything for him, Atma Nivedanam. So these are the 9 forms of devotion that Prahlad Maharaj gives, and we should also follow, being in that same chain of command, parampara. That's it. So right now we are doing hearing the class, then we should chant, which we will do now. Then slowly, even during sleeping, you will remember Krishna in your heart. Then you have to serve Pada Sevanam, lotus feet of the Lord, Vandanam, then Archanam, Ityadi, etc. And when you go to that stage, that's it. This is the knowledge given to Brahma. This is the knowledge Prahlad gives to his classmates. This is the knowledge Uddhava gives. Almost everybody gives this same knowledge, not different knowledge. So 96% of the work is already done. Now we have to do the remaining 4%. Practice it. If you practice it, you will get the result. If you don't practice it, then it will become jnana, knowledge. So jnana is better, but it has to be better than nothing. But it has to become vijnana. Vijnana means realized knowledge, so that we can use our life to go back to Godhead. Any questions? No questions? Okay, let's chant.